Good morning and welcome to the Financial Empowerment Network's 2021 Coalition Building Learning Series. This is the third session of 4 in the series, and the series objective is to offer local and national coalitions resources and knowledge for leadership development, sustainability, and succession planning. My name is David Hoadley with the Washington State Department of Commerce, and I'm a grants manager for the Community Services Block Grant. And we're excited to also be a sponsor for this learning series. The little bit about the Department of Commerce: it is one agency in state government that touches every aspect of community and economic development: planning, infrastructure, energy, public facilities, housing, public safety and crime victims, international trade, business services, and more, believe it or not. We work with local governments, tribes, businesses, and civic leaders throughout the state to strengthen communities so that all residents can thrive and prosper. So today's topic is the cost versus benefits of coalitions. And today we are lucky and privileged to have Bill Mills, who is the president/CEO of the FPP, which is the Florida Prosperity Partnership, and Bank on Florida. And we also have Joanna Doran, who Ph.D., M.S.W, associate professor with the California State University, School of Social Work, Los Angeles. She's also the founding member of the Asset Building Clinic. Bill Mills is the president and CEO of Florida Prosperity Partnership, a nonprofit dedicated to elevating financial capability for all. FPP is well known for its annual financial capability training conference, Spondulix, first of its kind financial edutainment, broadcast platform. The first of its kind F5 FPP Financial Focus Film Fest, part of FPP's Edutainment Initiative, Regional Prosperity Town Hall Meetings, Bank on Florida, Florida Taxpayer Opportunity Network, or FLTON, the Financial Education Trainer, Train the Trainer program, and the Certification for Financial Capability Practitioners, among others. That is a lot of accomplishments. Bill loves to find innovative ways to reach audiences, and today will be no different due to some difficulties. So thank you, Bill, for all of your assistance in trying to get this put together. Previously, Bill was a banker for 11 years. During that time, he served as a regional community development manager, working with nonprofits and government agencies on behalf of a large bank. Prior to this position, he oversaw a large mortgage team with an annual production in excess of $160 million. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration with a major in marketing from the University of Central Florida. Bill has also written, directed, and produced marketing videos, short films, and a full-length feature. He is a proud father of 3, and he is married to the love of his life, Emma. Congratulations, Bill. That is fantastic. Then we have Joanna K. Doran, Ph.D., M.S.W, associate professor with the California State University, School of Social Work, Los Angeles. She is also the founding member of the Asset Building Clinic. Dr. Doran is an associate professor in Cal State LA's School of Social Work, where she trains new social workers, help clients reach their financial goals. She founded the Asset Building Clinic in 2015 and as a collaboration with 10 nonprofit agencies to support students as they deliver financially empowering services. For example, credit reports and navigation to programs. To lower income households, a voluntary income tax assistance, or VITA sites, which we're all familiar with. In response to the pandemic, Dr. Doran created a free 5-hour online financial first responder certificate training that is open to the public, but especially geared for social service workers. To date, the Asset Building Clinic facilitated over 5,000 student service learning hours and issued over 300 financial first responder certificates. So please give a warm welcome to Bill and Dr. Doran. And again, thank you everyone for joining us today.
Thank you so much for the welcome. I hope that I'm trying out my speaking ability right now, and I'm happy to see Bill, and I'm happy for the wonderful introduction from both you and Alice.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And Joanna, you sound perfect, so that's wonderful. It's nice.
Yeah.
So yes, today we're going to talk about the cost versus benefit of a coalition. And Joanna and I have been discussing this now for a few weeks, and we really wanted to know who we're speaking to. So Joanna, I'll give you the reins on this so that you can explain exactly what we want to do.
My apologies to everybody. I am just less than a mile away from a sunny beach in Mexico, so at least that part is right. But the problem is I didn't realize that there would be complications dialing in from a foreign country, and that's what happened. So this game that we play I play it with my students in the sense that a lot of times it can be challenging to put in an answer into a chat. But this game, what it does is that you're going to put in your answer into the chat, and you're going to wait until we tell you to actually send the answer. And the question that you are answering is, first, what is your name, if that's not going to be listed automatically? And most of all, are you part of a coalition? Because a lot of times there are many different types of coalitions, whether formal or informal. And you might be listing multiple ones, or you might be part of a specific one that you identify with. So your answer, what you're putting into the chat box right now is, are you part of a coalition? If so, which one, and what is it that they do? So please put all of this answer into the chat box, but importantly, do not click send until we tell you. And actually, Bill, I'm designated you to do the telling of when it's right, because I cannot actually see the chat box from my thing. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, and in this case, on Zoom, it's called Q&A. And so we would like you to go ahead and put that answer in, and I'm stretching a little bit to give those who are a little bit slower typers like myself some time to do it. And when we say ready, I want you to go ahead and click done. And let's go ahead and do it right now. Click done. Yes, okay. So we have, hey, Venus from Atlanta. I know you. Greetings. We have a comment about Alice, from Alice specifically, saying she's part of multiple coalitions, Financial Empowerment Network, Bank on Washington, Jumpstart Washington. We have Emily Hearn. She's part of a coalition, the Asset Building Coalition of Mason County, and focus on financial education and Bank On. Ryan from Skagit Asset Building Coalition, financial workshops, knowledge and resources. We have Seattle King County Coalition on Homeless from Nefertari. Hopefully I said that right. And Venus, like I mentioned earlier, she manages the Bank On Atlanta Coalition and work to bring the unbanked and would argue underbanked into the financial mainstream. Rebecca House, part of several coalitions. They work together to empower people to develop positive financial futures. Sue Rogan from Cash Campaign of Maryland. Hey, Sue. I'm glad to have you on. Bank on Burke, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Wow. Thanks, Delma. We have Asset Builders Coalition, Mandy Lee. We have Sarah Perry, founder and facilitator of Pittsburgh Asset Building Network. And then we have Kylie Delgado, Bank on Maryland. Abby Karpowitz from Asset Building Coalition of Snohomish County. And then Mary Green is Boulder County, Colorado. Bank On Coalition, and in addition to be involved in other coalitions. So this is great. So it looks like we have a lot of folks that are involved in Bank On, and other asset building type coalitions. Joanna? Ooh, I keep putting that on the wrong screen. So to introduce ourselves, once again, my name is Bill Mills, and I am the president and CEO of FPP. And then Joanna and
Yes.
I had met recently, and like I said, we started talking a lot about coalitions, and I know that Joanna, you had some questions to ask.
Yeah, well, an observation which we had when we were having our conversations is that a lot of times what we think of as coalitions are essentially kind of formal partnerships, and one of the things that we had noticed is that with both of our cases, we are a little bit different in the sense of we. Like in your case, Bill, and I wonder if you could perhaps explain that a little bit, is that your coalition is very much about providing kind of a nice, it seems like there's no wrong door, no matter where people will end up, as long as you will your organization tries to attract and then meet the needs of people who are serving the field. And to me, my observation was that you have many different partners, but your coalition building is very functional around what is the benefit that you give to its members.
I think that's so true, Joanna. And FPP, the Florida Prosperity Partnership, has been around now since 07, 08, and I actually was. Before I became an employee of FPP, I helped to write the original strategic plan for FPP. So I've been involved with the organization since its very beginnings. And, we were a small group. There was a small group of ladies from around the state of Florida who realized they were doing the same thing in different areas of the state. So they thought, hey, let's see what we can do if we work together. And that's really how we were born. Originally, we were under the guidance and the umbrella of United Way of Florida, and they birthed us out around 2010, when I came along. We have we're a little bit different, like Joanna said, in that we do really take a wide breadth when we talk of financial capability. Several years ago, back when Prosperity Now, then it was CFED, I believe, had come out with what they called Platforms for Prosperity. And at that time, they had a little bit different view on his exact use, but we took them and used it kind of as our basis to who we should be serving. FPP is a nonprofit, but we are a coalition of financial capability practitioners, and we are always about what can we do for you, and specifically what can we do for the partners of FPP. And so when we talked about the platforms for prosperity, we looked at who should be an FPP partner, and we realized that there are so many folks out there that are really doing great work to help others in their financial lives, helping move people from financial crisis to stability and security and on to prosperity, hopefully. And so we wanted to embrace each of these various individuals and organizations that are helping in all those different places. And those specific platforms for prosperity were things such as where someone banks, or where they learn, or get healthy, or receive social services. And we started looking at how everyone really, when they come together, can help others to really go on and build prosperity. So that's kind of the different thing with us is we're not just an asset building coalition, for example. We're not just bank on. Those are big parts of what FPP does, but as well as VITA and others. But, it's all about bringing all of that together and working together to help build the lives of those that are in financial crisis. And so, and Joanna, I kind of wanted to throw it kind of back to you too. What I know when you were looking at the asset building clinic about some of the things that you would consider for a coalition, what kind of drew you to that?
Yeah, it's interesting because what I see in your organization, Bill, is that it's set out to amplify the work of other organizations. And when it came to my organization, I'm a professor, and I do a lot of the work, the actual work with clients through my students by organizing learning experiences for them that is called active learning. So essentially, you learn the material about credit in class, and then you go off and you do credit report checks with regular human beings. And in the course of getting ready to do that, because you're always going to be, of course, checking the CFPB toolkit and so on, in order to make sure that you have it right, because you're meeting a regular human being. And so in the course of this, your learning centers get activated because it's an emotional experience for you. You're going to be able to learn the material much more. And also in the course of this, you're going to actually be providing services. And so that's why it's possible to, my desire is to create these strong learning experiences for students, and then to translate that to learning experiences for other social workers, because in our field, it's very rare to have any kind of financial understanding be taught through our main curriculum. For example, just as a quick aside, just to show you just how few there are, in the social work programs, only 15 in the whole country have listed themselves as providing any kind of financial content. So this is all this is all kind of new stuff for us, and I'm hoping that another way of providing services is for social workers simply to be attracted to these kinds of products. I'm giving this long introduction just because I know that I'm a little bit like a unicorn in this field that's filled with really excellent practitioners and coalitions of practitioners. My point of trying to start the asset building clinic was to provide supervision to the students, because we were going to be going out to VITA sites. What I noticed is that it's difficult to actually know about these programs unless you're really specially guided. So we just brought a bunch of flyers. I wanted students to bring a bunch of flyers and start financial conversations with people as they're waiting in line to get their taxes prepared. But I didn't feel confident as a professor just learning about this from books in being able to supervise students in practice. And so I wanted to have somebody do supervision, but nobody would possibly give any kind of time like that if I were to just ask them for the whole season. And so instead, what I did is I approached the organizations asking if they would be part of essentially a collaborative effort to help supervise these students. What they would be doing is just basically allowing us to be there at their site and ask questions. And so that would be the extent of the supervision that they have to provide. So essentially, I tried to make an irresistible deal by also talking about being part of this collaborative effort to help train the students, which is kind of one of the benefits of coalition building or coalitions in general, is that one is that we can very much share their work. And that's what I was hoping to get out of this one. And then also in the process, it's possible to achieve more because of also being with a community of peers who are working towards this too. So what I was hoping to get out of being creating this collaborative effort is ultimately to help amplify the voice of practitioners, as you are doing with your organization, Bill. But my immediate goal was to help provide students with these intense learning experiences, because once they become social workers, then they will always be able to refer their clients to the field. So that was my my biggest goal, and I think that that's why, even though there's many other organizations that have joined since the first 10 members, but right now I'm very much focused on developing these kind of portable, easy to pick up training opportunities for people such as the financial first responder. And I'm hoping that it will also be possible to create something collaborative around that. But I just, I guess it's just kind of interesting, because the point that we were bringing up is that there are different functions and reasons for getting into coalitions. And mine's was very, very functional. And it's interesting how coalitions function, such as, for example, in your case with FPP, about really not so much convening people for the purpose of making decisions, but more like convening people around these really cool programs that we have, such as, for example, the education. No,
Edutainment.
Education is just not as interesting to. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I'll stop there, because I've given my history why I was attracted to coalitions, and then also just helping us think about kind of like differences also in the types of coalitions that exist in this world.
Yeah, that's very true, and you know, we are a little different. You know, I think we're blessed to be able to have staff at a coalition. I know the staff has definitely fluctuated through the years, from as few as one part-timer to as many as golly, I think we're at 6 right now. So you know, it's fluctuated through the years, and you know, I think that can make a big difference in you know, how coalitions really do, how active they are and what they can do. But all well put points, Joanna. So I think we're going to go ahead and really start getting into the meat of things. I think we've touched on a little bit already on some benefits of coalitions, but we're going to go a little bit deeper on that, and talk specifically about the cost versus benefit of coalitions.
Yes. So yes.
So yeah, so I think the next thing is we would like to ask you, and Joanna, should we do it the same way? Ask the audience about the positives that they see about coalitions. So our participants that are there, we would love to hear from you. If you want to go ahead and get ready to type it, but don't hit enter yet. What are the positives that you see about coalitions? In the meantime, I want to kind of just tell you one more thing about what Joanna and I have talked about as we're waiting to hit enter. Don't hit it yet. We really were looking at the various differences in our coalitions, but then we started realizing how many similarities there were as well. You know, FPP is rather large. We grew from, I think when I started, we were around 140 organizations or 140 individuals. Now we're well over 3,100. And so size-wise, we're large there. But when it boils down to it, it is really about advancing. The narrative is about working together. It is about what we can do for each other. Don't you agree, Joanna?
I do. Yeah, and it's kind of, and I think that what we're also going to get into is just kind of how everything balances out in terms of costs and benefits. And
yes.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and give 3 more seconds here and get ready. And they're coming.
Okay.
So Emily Hearn says, whoa, they started coming fast and I lost it. Says combining resources,
We're getting
multiple
good at it.
avenues, yeah, really, of outreach, shared responsibility, of promotion involvement. I love that. I know that that's a big thing that we had talked about, is the basically the promotion of whatever the thing that we're working on, when you can share in that amongst others to really kind of get the message out. That's great, Emily. Ryan Davis, shared workload for big projects, diverse expertise and resources, a wide net to find and share new information. Alice says, I couldn't do the work as the only staff of the Financial Empowerment Network without their amazing partners. Examples are Bank on Washington Forum and our foreclosure prevention team. They rock. Mary Green says, coalition work is so impactful because we are all working towards a common goal and utilizing everyone's strengths and resources. I appreciate the way our Bank on Coalition collaborates to bring banking access to the public. Venus says, pool of resources to draw from, a mastermind that informs on the issues, collaboration, support causes. And then Mary Navarro, larger base of support and stronger connections so you can achieve more and not duplicate services. Thoughts on that, Joanna?
Yeah, it's interesting. The thing that I love about these responses is that among them is one thing that we would expect is kind of the shared strength that you have as a network. But the thing that's also neat about these answers is the way that they also acknowledge the importance of having the supporters in order to do this work, as has been brought up, both in terms of funders, also in terms of staff. And to me, it seems as if that's it's an interesting thing to be thinking about coalitions as perhaps being kind of like almost like rings around each other to be supporting the work, as opposed to kind of like one coalition is kind of going forth and doing things all by themselves.
And that's a very good point. I know here on the slide we have the bees at the hive, and I think that is a really good representation of what you just said.
Mm-hmm. And I wonder whether it doesn't kind of help us to think about whether coalitions are something that's optional, or whether coalitions are something that if we wanted to bring things to scale, we have to have coalitions.
Yes, that's a very good point. And I think that, we have here in Florida been very successful at many different topics and causes because of a coalition. We're able to move forward a lot quicker, a lot easier when we work together. And back here we have the team of folks. Looks like they're doing a barn raising or maybe building a house there.
Yeah.
And it kind of says the same thing as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it seems as if also a lot of us recognize the same, like why we are here. It's also interesting kind of that the answers weren't more spread apart. We know what are essentially the benefits of coalitions because all of us are living them. Another thing that I notice is also the kind of like the emotional component of it, because if you're raising a house or a barn or something, it takes a lot of time, and to know that there's going to be a beginning and end and everybody else that's going to be involved is a source of, you have all of that anxiety cut away because of the fact that you also have that emotional support. And also the thing that's, I don't know whether this is everywhere or maybe just in my neck of the woods, but it seems to me as if people who are involved in this work are just generally neat people to be around. So far, I haven't met anybody that's not kind of like essentially a cool person. And so I think that I know that we are very serious and so on when it comes to coalitions and the work that we do, but also I think that it's just nice the way that coalitions make us feel like we're part of something bigger and something that's a living kind of entity that we don't get to have as much if we're just looking at our own computer and our own work too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so true. So, Joanna, you also have the picture here of a waterfall. Can you tie that in for us?
Actually, the waterfall. Wow, I would love to come up with a deep thing to say, but I can't on the spot. The waterfall is for us to remember to get our audience participation, because the exercise of putting in things into the chat and then sending them, it's called the waterfall. But in fact, what it also brings up for us is the fact that we together are coming up with essentially the answers to our own questions. And this is like just in this kind of like little meta kind of way, we all together are essentially answering providing the content and then resonating in certain areas as kind of like this instant coalition too. So that's another thing that it reminds me of, Bill.
That is so true. And when you look through the responses, you do see, you know, when they came in like a waterfall, we do see that, you know, there are a lot of similarities in that. And, you know, I also get that feeling here that, you know, through these answers that, that people do like to help others out. So I think that's a big part of a coalition is you get that opportunity, and that's kind of an intrinsic motivator there. You know, I mean, sure, there's the extrinsic where you know you kind of have those outside benefits, but intrinsic as well is that you have that opportunity to be part of something bigger. And I could definitely see that here, you know, through these answers.
And then also just to remain on this kind of like little meta moment is through my conversation with you, Bill, and then this I'm sure is what has been happening across this conference, or I know it's not called a conference, but it's just my default. And Bill's organization has this really neat structure of where there are essentially committees that are doing the different functions of his organization. And that's exactly the piece that my organization has been missing because for various reasons, this is extremely perfect for my organization. And so I'm going to be borrowing that idea and then using that to really provide a lot more robustness to my system. And also, I'm hoping that Bill is going to continue to be the nice person that he is, and to be helping me to build that out as you know, as part of the thing that we do as colleagues for each other. And so it's kind of neat to be able to also keep in mind that one of the benefits of collaborations is unexpectedly quick results in something that one has been struggling with. So kind of going back to my first point about is there an obligation to create coalitions if we're going to be going to scale? Perhaps the second one is also this one, the fact that we're able to make much faster progress if we allow the time to foster those kinds of unexpected connections through conversations as part of our daily work, as opposed to seeing that as anything that's extra.
Yeah, and absolutely happy to help, and happy to help anyone.
Did you like how I bedded that in? Already getting my advantage. Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, in fact, I think we talked about it. How I always try to end my my Zoom calls nowadays with "What can I do for you?" And I really mean that. And that's actually been our slogan, so to speak, our internal slogan, that when we're on a call with anyone, or you know, whatever we can do, we end it with "What can we do for you?" And that has really helped us really to find the right people, the right tasks, You know, if someone needs something, then there's someone else out there that needs the same type of thing. And you know, to kind of tie into what you were saying about the committees, I just thought about our conference. We have a conference committee, for example, and we have committees that are involved with our virtual sessions, things like that. But we have, I can count on one hand how many times we've actually had to pay someone to be a part of one of those learning sessions, and had hundreds of them through the years. And really, it does come back to that, where there's others out there that really want to help. And I think it all comes back to that advantage of a coalition. People want to work together to help others out. So, Joanna, I think I'm going to go ahead and move forward for
Yes.
the cost, the challenges of coalition building. Now, we'll go ahead and ask this question now. What do you see, our prestigious participants, as what is out there, the challenges? What is the cost that you see of coalition building? And while you're typing that up, I also wanted to mention that this first one up here, the herding cats, that was one that I asked to be on here. I think sometimes it does feel like we're herding cats, and it does take some time to get everyone on the same course, so to speak. And you know, it hasn't always been smooth sailing for us, but we'll go into that a little bit deeper in a second here. But in the meantime, once again, that question is, what challenges do you see of coalition building? And I want to go ahead and give you just a few more seconds here, and go ahead and press enter. Okay, here they come, like a waterfall, like you said.
Let's see. It's true.
Let's see here. Emily says, not getting responses back quickly from coalition members. Low number of staff feels overwhelming at some times. Finding funding, lack of interest from potential clients. I feel your pain, Emily. Ryan, human time to attend meetings. Yes, goes back to that staffing, doesn't it? Engagement into specific projects, identifying shared goals. Building consensus is a challenge, but priceless when achieved. Keeping everyone engaged and not duplicating services and overwhelming the community. Getting action if a volunteer member doesn't do what they're committed to. That's a great one, Sue. So, Joanna, has it always been smooth sailing for you?
No, not at all. And I think that this is kind of like why things that like supporting streams and so on echoes for me, is because being kind of like this essentially like a weirdo professor, to be creating kind of like an organization out of nothing, out of student work. There have been a lot of challenges in maintaining the thing that I wanted to also do, which is to have community conversations around topics. And actually the only reason why I realized that is because of the conversations that we've been having about what is it that one wants to get out of coalitions, and then what is the most useful thing for them to provide, which is what is being brought up here is exactly this kind of cost and balances of engaging the time and not being for sure certain that there's going to be an outcome that you actually need. Because the worst thing that can happen is for a coalition to be essentially kind of an entity that's supposed to be gathering people, and then whether it's making decisions or advancing on something. But if there isn't a clear goal of the immediate usefulness, then it can feel like work, and it can feel like you're putting in time, but you're not getting an immediate outcome. And so yeah, and of course, having everybody, a lot of the whole reason why everybody creates different kinds of organizations is because of the fact that they have a sense of how to do something better and in a different way. And so how difficult it is to build consensus from that with everybody's different point that they're coming from and the places that they're going to. It can definitely be a challenge building consensus, not just in terms of decisions that are reached, but even just something so basic as finding a common meeting time. It can be exhausting if you don't have essentially the support to be able to convene these things. And a lot of times, for coalitions, a lot of times it can be challenging just to call meetings. So for me, I'll just confess, for me, the thing was that we used to have these kind of community meetings, but I just found it too difficult to be convening meetings, to be honest. And so I was feeling a little bit guilty that I don't have a coalition that's as active, because I've been starting to train students to become financial coaches in response to the fact that there just isn't as much in the community as we would need for our projects. So my immediate needs were met, and then it was difficult. The challenge was in just doing something so simple as calling together meetings and sustaining that kind of energy, because it does require energy and time to even just call meetings. And the thing that and not to be complimenting you all the time, Bill, because you already said that you would help, but the thing that's really cool about your organization is that I was thinking about, it can feel abstract, but if in the immediate moment, if the thing that you're always asking your partners is, how can I help you? Then that means that the exchange is definitely going to be useful and meaningful, as opposed to kind of like formal and done because that's the way that you're supposed to be doing things. That's the thing that I think is really cool about your approach. And then the thing that's similar a little bit with my organization is that because I'm teaching in a Hispanic serving university that focuses on low income and first generation students, essentially these are the students that most need to have whatever guidance that we have to help them make the transition into wealth building, because of the vast expanse of responsibilities that they have within their communities. And so if anybody, to help them in their SES journey. And the slogan that we have is financially empower yourself so like that you can financially empower your communities. The idea that I have is that I focus on the students and figuring out how is it that I can help advance their professional goals by working with ABC. And so, for example, I'm going to be having students over the summer who are going to be working. One of them is a foster youth, and she's interested in taking the same training that I created for the financial first responder, but making it be specific for foster youth. And so that's going to be something that will definitely look really nice on her resume, and it's going to help further financial empowerment in the community. And so, so I think that it's maybe one nice thing for us to be thinking about in terms of costs and benefits is that are we being useful? Are we being useful though, as a coalition? And I think that maybe like in terms of, has it always been smooth sailing? The thing that is interesting is that I maintained the thing that I needed to maintain, which is my commitment to students, because my idea is that if they learn it really well, while I still have control over them, then they're going to spread that knowledge. They won't be able to help but to spread the knowledge. And it's kind of the same also for Bill's work as well. So yeah, so it's interesting, kind of like the costs and benefits, and kind of like, are we a benefit to others through our coalition?
Yeah, that's a very good point. And I saw another comment come in that says finding our common values and ensuring that we evaluate the needs throughout the collaboration. Honestly, I kind of see that as kind of the biggest challenge on. So I think it's a great response. I know that we've said this a few times, but the what can I do for you does help us with those finding those common values, because what we're trying to do is really find out what are the similarities, because if we ask it of as many people as we can, you do start to get some very similar responses. FBP does our best to be as uh, politically centrist as possible, to not, to show all sides, so to speak. And that's a tough one to do sometimes. And I know that we'll have, when we do that, we always try to show both sides of the coin, so to speak. Because, if we go too far one way or another, we're in a very purple state here in Florida. We start to get those questioning values. So that's probably one of the toughest things that we can do here in Florida. So what conclusions can we draw? What have we left out of our conversation? We only have a couple minutes left here, but I would love to hear from the audience. We both would, if there are any specific things that you would like to discuss more. In the meantime, you go ahead, press enter on those whenever you're ready. But in the meantime, Joanna, I do want to ask you one more question here. Do you think that the benefits outweigh the costs?
Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of funny because I really appreciate Alice and the network, because it's essentially, I feel like I've been kind of like becoming kind of like by myself in my own little bubble, and then with this conference, and then just generally, like whenever it is that one ventures back out into one's networks, then one finds oneself rejuvenated and part of a community. And it's interesting because I think that in terms of all of the discussions that we've had, there isn't anything that's really kind of, in a sense, surprising. These are things that we already know. And also when it comes to other places where coalitions are talked about, it reverberates around the same themes about how it's possible to accomplish a lot more, but then also if they're not useful, then it can feel like a drain on resources. And figuring out that kind of balance is what's important in terms of building effective coalitions, is what it seems like.
I'd have to agree with you, Joanna, and I thank you for your time today, and thank Alice and their team for allowing us to do this. We do have both of our contact information up, so let's continue the conversation if there is anything, and I know you want to do the same way, so if there's anything we can do for you,
yes,
let us know, and we are willing to continue this conversation into the future.
And then hopefully people see in the chat who is saying what, so like that in case anybody wanted to get back to each other. I mean, I think that we're all part of one gigantic collaboration in one way or another.
Oh, that is so true.
I think it's definitely true. And I just want to say thank you so much, Bill and Joanna, because you definitely are two individuals that I look to as mentors and for support. And so I encourage everyone, we have a lot of talent within Washington, but boy, there's a lot of talent even outside of Washington. And I just can't thank Bill and Joanna enough for all the support and guidance that they have provided the Financial Empowerment Network. So I want to encourage everyone, as you leave today, reach out to each other if you have questions. If you're having challenges with your coalition, or if you're having successes, share the success, share the challenges, work together. And thank you so much for being part of today. Next Tuesday, we have the last of our series, which is on impact. So how do we measure impact? And so joining us will be Nikki Christ from the CFE Fund. Until then, enjoy your day, and we look forward to seeing you.